Hi Capricorn, this is Michelle. Welcome back to Born Without Boundaries. If you're just arriving, please do subscribe to the channel and click that bell right below so that you will get notified every time I go live. I've been doing wonderful lives lately and they've been phenomenal, and I would love to have you join in. The only way you'll know about them though is if you click that bell, and then you'll be notified as soon as we go live. It is so cool. All right, Capricorn. This is your week ahead reading for the week of July 21st to July 28th, 2019. All right, I'm just dividing the deck, making sure it's good and diversified for you. I'm going to pick up on general reading, general energies for the week ahead. Divided it 5 ways, 4 ways, now 3 ways. 2 ways, and 1 way is our shuffle. Okay, energies for Capricorns for the week moving into July 21st to July 28th. If you see this 3 years from now, you've seen it at the appropriate time for you. I'm absolutely certain of that. But I want you guys to know when I've recorded it. Learn from the past. There's a pattern here. There's a behavior pattern that you keep repeating. And I also think I hear you asking the question, why does this keep happening to me? Why? Why? Over and over again. There's a pattern that's happening in your life, whether it be with work or whether it be with romance, whether it be with family. There's something that, if you look back into your past, you don't even have to look back into your past. It just keeps repeating itself, so it keeps reminding you. What Spirit is calling you to think about this week is, how can you learn? How can you learn so the pattern doesn't keep repeating? I feel like there's a stirring. This has come out upside down. This is, you are never alone. Okay, now I know for a fact that this past pattern has to do with romance and love. This is for that Capricorn who is not in a relationship right now. Or if you are, you feel very much alone. You feel almost the whole burden of the relationship on your shoulders. But this is probably for that Capricornian. Use your mind wisely. You're being called by Spirit this week to do a very difficult thing, a very difficult task, which is take your history in love, put it out flat, almost review it as if you were reviewing somebody else's data. Maybe even reach out to somebody who can counsel you, whether it be a therapist or a close friend that you trust with this intimate information, who can be objective with you. But I would recommend maybe a therapist, or if you think you can do it yourself, but there really has to be an objective insight. You're going to need to provide them, literally, this is the exercise I'm recommending for you. Put everything in the list. Write down your past partners and your primary experiences with them and how they ended, and see if you can pull out a pattern. Once you pull out a pattern, you realize that this wasn't just you dating a type of person, it was you choosing a type of person. And that's how you're being asked to use your mind this week, in the most objective way possible, or reach out to other people who could be more objective for you. But Capricorn, there has been an upset, there has been a disappointment in love, and there has been continual disappointments in love. And it's disheartening you, and you don't understand why. And I'm not sure why this is coming up, but I feel like once again, you just received something disappointing happening to you in love. Something came into your life that really excited you, and you thought this was going to have potential, and for some reason you're still not getting the reaction that you want from people. You're still not getting the interaction. You still feel like the primary burden of the relationship is on you. That's what's happening. And you're being called to be objective. And I know it's difficult because your heart is involved in this. And it's topsy-turvy right now. I want to see if I can pull more. Yep. And once again, this is reverse too. And I made sure, Capricorn, that all the cards were turned upright. So this coming out in reverse, this has to do with disappointment. It has to do with a letdown. It has to do with something that was young and beautiful not getting off the ground. It has to do with an expectation disappointed. So there was hope here. There was excitement here. There seemed to be connection here. And now it seems like it's turned upside on its head. And you're wondering why. You're wondering why this is what keeps happening to you. This is for that Capricorn that has not found that stable relationship. Or if you are a Capricorn in a relationship, the issue is simply that you almost feel like you're with a child and all the burden of the relationship is falling onto you. Like you're the one that has to be the grown-up. You're the one that has to carry the weight. And this is just somebody who won't shake the nest, who like won't leave the coop, won't fly the coop. Time to collaborate. Now is a lucky time. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay. So, there may be some hope here. In other words, okay, I'm glad that bunch of cards came out and they're all turned upright. So I would hold off right now on, so maybe, just maybe, you might want to go through this exercise first, Capricorn, and just see really objectively if you can go through it with some kind of counselor or therapist that you trust. Could be a tarot card reader. If you want to just go through it list by list and be as objective and pragmatic as you can, it could be a good exercise. You could still apply this to this situation, but with the cards that just came out, Capricorn, what you might want to do is be warned that there really isn't as much wrong with this relationship, this new relationship, this new potential, this new opportunity. There might not be as much wrong as you originally thought there was. They're just, for some reason, their behavioral patterns right now are reminding you of things in the past, and that's bringing up old hurt for you, and it's making you reactionary in a place where you shouldn't be reactionary. You know, it's just so funny. These cards, look at them. It's time to collaborate. Maybe that's you collaborating with this therapist or with this guide or with this counselor so that you can work through these issues. But it's also, look, comparing this. Now is a lucky time for you, but you have the tortoise and you have the hare. And you can either move quickly, or this is where the issue is coming. You're rushing things. If this is something that you've wanted for so long, you're almost rushing it to happen. And so what you need to do is take on the energy, the slow and steady pace of the tortoise, and just have faith in the flow of things. And that's very difficult for you because right now, because things aren't happening right away, because things aren't taking off really quickly, because you're not seeing that the other person that you probably have just met or have just started to have interactions with, they're not working as fast as you or working as diligently as you, or maybe they're not responding to you fast enough. You're starting to get discouraged, and maybe this is the behavioral pattern you'll be able to see about yourself, that you can't expect everybody to drive at the pace that you drive. You're a high performer, and that's not how everybody communicates. It doesn't mean that they're not interesting, and it doesn't mean that they're not interested in you, and it certainly doesn't mean that they can't be a good partner for you, but you might be taking too much control in this situation and expecting them to be too much like you, and then turning around and wondering why they felt like it wasn't going to work out. And that's probably because your behavior to them came across as they weren't good enough for you. That's what the feedback was provided, and maybe that's why they don't call back, and maybe that's why you don't get the responses or the interest that you really want when it comes to new partners. If this is an old relationship and you're in this relationship and this is somebody who isn't participating at full speed, they could feel at this point like there's no point. Like everything that they've tried to do wasn't good enough. And so now they're like silently resigned to almost leave before they've left. And that's the disappointment. There's disappointments on this person feels, this person that you're with feels defeated and diminished. And you feel like you're overburdened and raising a child. There's a divide here. There's a strain. There is a message here that if this is a new relationship, that you've just started out with, be very, very patient with it. Let it move slowly. Let them show you how they work, and maybe let them take the lead and you follow along. This is that slow patience of a water sign. If you go slow, and this time you go with the flow and let them set the pace, maybe, just maybe, you'll see that it is a good situation and that fortune starts to roll in, and that what you've wanted, this prosperity, is there for you, as long as you relinquish the need to set the pace and the drive. You know, if you are in a relationship currently, the message is simply to pull back. Don't make all the decisions. If the house has to get a little bit dirty for a while, let it get a little bit dirty, and maybe you come home and say, oh, you know, I really don't have time to clean this week, and then you just walk away, and you let them figure things out. Like, in other words, you are so driven and so inclined to pick up the pieces and pick up the mess before you've maybe even given somebody else the time to pick up the mess. And you've done it so often, and you've repeated the pattern so over and over again, that it's actually been interpreted by this other party. Maybe it's a child, maybe it's not a lover, maybe it's that's what the love disappointed is, that there was just no way, that they feel almost diminished because there was no way they could keep up with you. That there's this concept of your productivity level was actually, when you applied it to them, discourage them from thinking that they had any aptitude or could participate in any way that would be appreciated at all. And so now they just feel diminished, and they're almost kind of codependent on you now because their wings were never allowed to spread and fly. For some of you, you could be feeling this way, Capricorn, but 10 to 1, this isn't you. This isn't a Capricornian way to feel. And that's the truth. You could be dealing with a water sign. They would be this sensitive. They would take things this personally, especially if you're dealing with a Cancerian. If you're dealing with a Cancerian, or you were dealing with a Cancerian, they will pick up on your anxiety, they will pick up on your tension, and they will be a little bit too passive or codependent and always let you lead and always let you make the decisions. And then little by little by little, in a very passive aggressive way, they will give less. They will almost always kowtow. They will almost always behave resigned to your stronger will, and it will feel like you're the one pulling the whole burden, and they will kind of feel stuck and trapped in their shell. If you're dealing with a Cancerian, you're definitely dealing with somebody with a very light, delicate sensibilities. You know, they could be an Aquarian. They just definitely have a lighter personality than you, and perhaps because of that lighter personality, in the beginning of your relationship with them, you perceive them as not being active enough. If this is a new relationship, give them time. Let them take the lead. If they don't call you the next day, don't call them. Give them time to call you, because they will call you. In fact, you hanging back and waiting and being patient will actually encourage them to feel stronger and feel more empowered. I want to pull some whispers of love for you guys. But honestly, that exercise of sitting down with somebody who can be objective with you and going over this could actually help you map out a behavioral pattern that keeps leading you to the same result. And this is an undesired result. This is love disappointed. And that's not where you want to be. You're done with that. But there's a repetition here. There's a repetition here. And you're being called to take that brain of yours and use it to help you figure out what's happening and how to fix it. Right? Because ultimately, happiness is what you want. Express love through gifts. A small token of love can convey great appreciation. Okay. Demonstrate love. Find out what is important to those you love and act on it. That's a really important one. Simple acts of kindness. Kindness energizes you and brings happiness to those around you. Okay, this is a lot of earth energy, but it's a patient, steady energy. It's a quiet energy. This is a good example of what I was talking about. All of these young animals, all of these vulnerable animals feel comfortable with this young person, young man, at the center of the card because he's quiet, because he's still, because he's letting them come to him. And that's extremely important. This is extremely important. This is your way through. I think that a lot of times you end up making the first move and expressing yourself overtly and maybe buying things for the person that is the object of your desire. It's almost like you're taking on a very masculine energy, and especially if you're a feminine, this can lead to you not being able to attract the right man for you. Unfortunately, men tend to feel lost when they're aggressed upon, which is it's strange. I'm not saying it's wrong, and you definitely have to be yourself, but you do also want to understand yourself well enough to know how are you communicating with others. And this card is a call to understand what others need, to listen before you speak, and understand both sides of the communication. Remember, it's not just, hey, I'm here, I'm me, this is me, love me for everything that I am. It's also, who are they? How do they need to be loved? How do they receive love? Right? It's not about being anybody but yourself, but it is being patient and listening to who that other person is too. You know, this small token that you're exchanging with this person, see, this is the thing. He is presenting the gift to her. She's letting him come to her. She's letting him set the pace. She's giving him that time to set the pace. I know this is difficult for you. I know. But right now, almost, yeah, there's more little animals here. This is really just calling for quiet and patience and stillness from you right now. And that is something I understand that is very difficult for you. But this is your challenge. You'll reap the rewards of this challenge when you see that people are reacting differently to you because you allowed them to speak first. Find out what is important to those you love and act on it. You only get here by listening. You only get here by being still and being patient and letting them come to you. It's not about playing hard to get. There's all these messages of patience here because whatever new prospect is on the horizon, or even if you've been married for 20 years, there's a call to be patient with the person and to try patience first. To try working with them instead of for them or on behalf of them, or instead of them because they didn't get it done fast enough, or you just assumed that they were going to leave it for later because, or like not finish out the chore, or not call you because they didn't call you in the time that you expected to be called in, or they didn't do the dishes when you wanted them to do it, so you just assumed they weren't going to do it. It wasn't good. It wasn't good enough. That's the message that they're hearing. Is it's just whatever they could contribute isn't good enough. That's the message that they're hearing. There is a new opportunity here with a person that is brand new to you. So they're literally just like that little tiny bunny rabbit or deer. They're creeping out of the forest and sniffing. They're sniffing. This is a time for you to be patient. This is a time for you to have faith. This is a time for you to listen and be still and let them present their gifts to you. For your part, you're going to move slow. You're going to move steady. It's the tortoise that won the race, not the hare. And there's this diametric difference. You know, there's this, remember, because if it's a long-term relationship that you want, the hare is not the one that wins it. They don't live very long. Tortoises live 150, 200 years, right? They go with the flow. They carry their home with them. They age slowly. Whereas bunnies reproduce really rapidly and quickly because their life cycle is really rapid and quick. What do you want? You don't want the short turnaround. You want the long term. And so right now you're being called to have patience. Whatever this new person is, this is for my single Capricorns. Whoever this new person is that has recently come into your life, there's potential here. Don't assume that because they didn't call you right away or they're not doing things the way that you feel most comfortable, that you don't like the way that you expected. They're not on your time frame. They don't know your time frame. They don't know you. And you will scare them away very quickly if you don't give them that space and that patience and that quiet to just let them take the lead. Let them show you who they are. Demonstrate love through patience this week. Because it's what you need to do to reap the rewards, to reap the benefits. It's very, very hard. This is a challenge this week because we're coming toward on the 31st, we have new moon. So it's like we're ready for new beginnings. We want them now, but Mercury does not go direct until August 1st. And so it's really testing our tenacity this next week and a half, is testing, can we keep this slow and steady pace? Because what the universe wants to see is not how fast you get there. It's that you're committed to your purpose, come hell or high water. That tenacity and commitment to purpose, that focus on your goal, is that faith in your goal is what's going to speak to spirit louder than anything. It's not rushing in and getting it done as quickly as possible. That's not what's going to get you the A on this test, Capricorn. The A on this test comes from showing that you can be patient, that you can be still, and that you can trust in others to share themselves with you. You don't have to go after it like you're hunting something down. Literally it's intentional. All of these creatures, are tender. They're all skittish. I mean, the fox is a predatory creature, but he's also hunted in fox hunts. He's also prey. These are all animals that have good reason to be wary of this person sitting in the woods. Other people have been through stuff too. They have a past too. Don't think that just because their pace isn't your pace, that it's a bad pace, or that it's even bad for you. You're being called to stillness and patience this week, and it's for a reason. The truth is, the universe wants you to succeed. They want you to be in love. They want you to find love. And there's something that you're very excited about this new opportunity. But there's this disappointing past. In fact, these cards can be associated with, there is a part of this new person that is like a little child, because they're like creeping out of the forest very slowly because they're skittish. They've been hurt before. So use your mind very wisely this week, Capricorn. 1, to do the work on yourself, to figure out if there are behavioral patterns in your life that you can pick out that are actually impeding you making progress. Also, use your mind wisely to be self-controlled and to be patient, so that this little bird can find their own wings. This little bird can let go and let themselves fly. Literally, it's about changing your perspective this week. It is. It's about changing the way that you would react to things. And in that small change, that's really just faith in the other person, you're going to see abundance come in. Abundance and collaboration, togetherness. Somebody that actually does want to work with you because they feel like, because you gave them that space and that time, they do want to build with you, because they now believe that their contributions will be valued. Yeah, they now see that, for some reason, this person has been given a reason to be a little bit wary in the past. But they want to offer you a gift. They want to give you things. Let them give to you. That's where your focus has to be. Patience, stillness, allowing and receiving. That's the position you have to take this week, Capricorn. That's the position you have to take this week. Or there will be more of the same heartbreak, and there will be more of the same disappointments. If this is about work, don't ask for a raise this week. Let them come to you. Don't push it. Pushing it will only break it further. Will only lead to heartache. Whereas stillness and patience will lead to fruitfulness and progress. Oh, Capricorn. Okay. See, it's like most people were tested last week. You're being tested this week. And this is your Achilles heel, because you always want to initiate and get things done, and you don't even think twice. You just power through things, and you don't realize the diminishing effect that can have on those people around you, because you're not doing it intentionally. But this is how they feel. And if this is a new partner, they already feel topsy-turvy. They already feel like maybe they don't deserve you. So let them lead. That's all. Your lack of aggression this week will demonstrate to them that there's potential here. And do the exercise. Seriously, write down if this is about romance or other opportunities. Maybe this is about jobs. Write down and be as objective as you possibly can. Go through this exercise. This is the activity that you could take part in. Take some quiet time with yourself or with a counselor of some sort, and write down, if this has to do with relationships, John Smith, met on this date, we're dating by this date, had sex this soon, go through step by step and review all the behaviors and see if there's not a pattern. And if you can pick out that pattern, you might be able to pick out the place that you can start healing this old wound and make the progress that you want to make. If this is finding a job, same thing. Write down the list of industries like Joe's Peanuts that you applied for, but you got turned down for. Maybe go through a few things that happened in the interview, a few reactions that you noticed, and write them down. See if you can see some sort of pattern, because there is a pattern that is formed. And if you look, you will find it. And it will be quintessential to your healing. There is potential here in this new endeavor, this new relationship, this new position, but you must go with the flow and trust. Just trust and believe. You don't have to trust and believe even in the other person. Trust and believe in God. Trust and believe. This is about going with the flow and moving like water this week. Virgo got this last week, to move like the water. To move like the water. Interesting, as we move out of Cancer season, you're being asked to embody a flow. Okay? So that's what you'll do. The real prize here is the companionship or the opportunity. It's not having to show up and show off and sort of with the teacher's pet mentality of doing more work than you ever had to do. And to what end? Is it getting you what you want? Because it hasn't. There's disappointment here. There's big time disappointment and somebody feeling diminished. I would really love for you to subscribe to the channel and ring that bell so you can tell me how things are going this week. So you can join in on the lives and tell me how things are going. Because this is very, very important. This is a pivotal moment for you. And if you co-create with somebody, which means giving them a second, even if they don't move as fast as you, giving them a second to contribute the way they can contribute, and honoring that. Instead of just jumping and leaping and showing that you got this, keep your hand down this week. Keep your hand down this week. Slow and steady brings in the abundance this week. I hope this helped. I'll talk to you next week, Capricorn.